talk about it. What I want to talk about is this. If this was a clean election, then Joe Biden ran the greatest campaign in presidential history because he shattered decades of records, over a century of records and trends in this election. And the media is not even curious about it. I mean, how do you have a down ballot wave on one hand and then the opposite wave on the top of the ticket? That hasn't happened for 120 years. You're saying the guy that got more votes than any other person in U.S. history doesn't have coattails? Or Donald Trump, the incumbent, actually got more votes in his re-election race and ended up losing? That hasn't happened in 150 years. That Joe Biden lost 17 out of the 18 bellwethers. That Joe Biden won less counties than Hillary, 200 less counties than Barack Obama, and still came out ahead. That Joe Biden lost Florida, lost Ohio, and still won the election. That hasn't happened since 1960, when JFK, some home cooking in Chicago. Or he underperformed Hillary in every major metropolitan area except Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Detroit, and Atlanta. Or the fact that Donald Trump won more of a percentage of minority voters for Republicans since 1960, won 95% of Republican voters, won the middle class, yet still lost. I mean, why isn't the media saying, Joe, what's your secret? How'd you do it? I mean, why isn't the media talking about this transformation of the Democratic Party? They're not talking about Biden voters. They're not talking about this. They're not crowning a strategist like a Rove or an Axelrod. They're not even asking Joe a question at all. They're only asking Trump a question, which is, when are you going to go? And that's because they're not saying that Biden won. They're saying Trump lost. And that should tell you everything.
All right, Katie, last word to you. Well, the bottom line is that there is a significant portion of the American electorate that does not believe this was fair and square. And whether it was Democrat cities or legislatures changing the rules at the last minute and having a lot of questions about the way that things were done, or if you listen to some of these hearings that the Trump campaign has been holding, the emergency hearing today in Arizona before the governor certified the results there, before hearing about these cases, if you want to push aside Rudy Giuliani and push aside the Trump campaign lawyers, do so and listen to what the witnesses are saying about the process, whether it's not having addresses correct, whether they were matching signatures, whether they weren't allowed to do certain things that they thought they were capable of doing, weird things that they've been seeing that they hadn't seen despite being poll watchers in previous elections. These are questions that should be answered for the future of elections as well, because we have a whole new system now of this mass mail-in voting, and I don't think it's actually fair in the end to just accuse the DOJ of not looking into this. I mean, I know that there were U.S. attorneys in Nevada looking into the 3,000 challenging votes that they had, but the fact is that this is the Trump campaign's burden to bear when it comes to proving this stuff, and I think they've done a pretty decent job when it comes to holding these hearings and having alternative media sources outside of the media who've been able to really amplify some of these problems that elected officials on the local level are actually planning on changing. So it's not going away, that's for sure. So learning to fix these problems and how to reform them when a whole new system was put into place is not too much to ask when people have serious questions about what went down.
All right, it is Monday. We are underway. Coming up, Joe Biden receiving more media praise for his administration hires, but they are not without controversy. Republicans say one cabinet pick has zero chance of being confirmed.